Today we're going to make a Steadicam for your GoPro camera or iPhone. Hypnotic, isn't it? What you need to do is just cut some thin strips just from this piece of timber here. So all I've done is a quick thin strip jig for your table saw. So I've just got a stop block here, which is just a whisker past the table saw blade. And then all we have to do is line that up, move the fence over to it, lock it down, and make some cuts. Nice and flexible now. The next step, we're just going to go and soften these up. So we're going to soak these in some water for, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes. That should be enough.
While the wood's soaking, I'm going to make some wedges for the clamp. So the first thing I did was tilt my miter gauge to 10 degrees, and then I can straighten it up and then flip the piece of wood and then make another cut, and this will give us nice little wedges that we can use. While the wood's still wet, we want to set it in position. So we're going to get these little pieces of wood, knock them in with a brad nailer, and then come in behind them with these little wedges. You can hammer these wedges in and you can apply a lot of pressure to specific points so we get good closure on all the gaps.
Okay, I've left this for about 24 hours to dry, so we can pull it off and hopefully it'll be in a nice shape for us. Time to glue it up. When you're gluing up bent lamination, use a ton of glue. You don't want any gaps, you don't want any dry spots, you just want to smother the thing and deal with the squeeze out a bit later on. Okay, you want to work as quick as you can when you're gluing these things up so the glue doesn't dry. Ideally a slower drying glue is also a good thing. So what I've done is I've trimmed the bent lamination down for the Steadicam to its rough dimensions. I've still left a little bit of extra so I can trim further. I just got a little piece of aluminium bar and bent it on the end. So I'm just going to trim that up and mount that on here. I'm just using my finger to work out a rough balance point to try and work out where I want to mount the camera on it. So it seems to balance pretty good around here. So I'm going to drill that, give that a try, and we'll see how things work. Just made a little bit of a design change. The curve was a bit tight and I think I needed weight down lower for it to balance a little bit better. So all I did was just cut it off here and then flipped it over and glued it back on. So after that you'll just end up with a little piece like this for the handle. All I did was just drilled a little tiny hole about the size of a small nail all the way through, and then I made another piece very similar. It's going to fit in like that, and just with a drilled a hole through here. To join them together, all I've done is I've just got a little piece that came out of the middle and I've just drawn the holes through, I don't know how well you can see that, at 90 degrees opposite each other, and then I'll just slot these together. So I just got the nails, pushed it through those little tiny holes, and then I'll just cut the nails off and then just super glue them in place. It's a pretty good little uni joint. It's not neat, but you could turn something much nicer than this, but it's working. A dab of super glue. Quick spray with the super glue activator, and it's pretty dry. Okay, to put this thing together, it's pretty easy. So I've just got a hole drilled in the top here. I've got my little piece of aluminium. We're just going to pop it over there. Feed this nut through it. This is the little phone holder I made just in the other video, so click on the information card or on the annotation right here, and then that'll show you how to make that. It's really simple. You can knock it out in like 10 minutes or something like that. So this is going to sit on top of here. Put it up nice and tight. Then you'll see that I'm going to have 3 bolts on this thing here. So the first one just gets wound to the back. So I've just got this little bolt on here, and then we're just going to slide our handle on, put the other bolt on. I won't do this up tight yet until I adjust it for balance, but you can see we can move this back and forth just to get the weight right, and the little joint works pretty well. Like, it moves around quite easily. So we're just going to work out our weight system on the bottom here. So we can just move this handle back and forth depending on the weight of the camera you've got. So if you want to put something heavier like a GoPro or something like that on there, you know, you'll be able to fine tune it to exactly what you need. To get the balance, all I did was I drilled 5 holes in the bottom of this, and I've just put the bolts in it with a couple of nuts. You could also just use like fishing sinkers or anything like that as well. I think would equally work. I'm pretty happy with how this project turned out. It's fairly steady, up and down. It's very steady. It self-corrects pretty well. Going back and forth, it does rock a little bit, but if you have your finger behind it, it does stop it, and it's quite still. It's much steadier than if you were to do it by hand. The bent lamination turned out really well. If you are going to do bent lamination, one thing to try is do the little wedges that I did. I made a couple of these things, and I tried clamping it, and the clamps just were full of gaps, and I couldn't get good pressure all the way around. But if you use those little wedges, you can get very specific pressure and you know, close any gaps. And you know, it's pretty seamless. There's no gaps anywhere in that. It's quite good. I'm very happy with that. So I'll be using that technique for other videos, I'm pretty sure. Also, the handle is pretty good. Yeah, it holds steady. I can move my hand around. And
to test the camera out, I took it to supernova. This was shot by holding it straight up over my head, so the camera was about 7 or so feet off the ground, and it was pretty steady.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this nice little simple project and you find it handy. I have regular maker and woodworking videos, so please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, and also click on the cards. You can go to my website, go to other videos that we've made, take a look. Thank you.